Most people watching this video will lose a sale today. Not because their product is bad, not because the price is too high, but because of this one mistake that they keep making on every single call. And they don't even know they're doing it. Stay with me because in the next few minutes, I'm going to show you exactly what that mistake is and how to fix it before it costs you another sale. Most salespeople are accidentally talking their customers out of buying. You spend a week getting the lead, and then you get them on a call, and the conversation is going great, and then they go cold. They say, well, let me think about it. They stop returning your messages, and you sit there wondering what went wrong. And that feeling, that's not bad luck. That's a pattern. And it's happening to thousands of business owners right now, today, while their competitors are closing the same deals that they just lost. What if I told you that closing more sales has almost nothing to do with being more persuasive and everything to do with doing less talking? In this video, I'm going to break down the exact framework that top closers use to turn hesitant prospects into paying customers. No manipulation, no pressure tactics, just a simple system that works even if you hate selling. The first thing that I'm going to talk about is the reason most sales calls fall apart before the close even happens. Here's something wild. Most deals are lost in the first 5 minutes of the sales call. Not at the end, not when you say the price, right at the beginning. I know someone who owns a small marketing agency, and he's good at what he does. His clients, the clients that he has, they love him. But every time he gets on a sales call and he starts talking, and he starts talking fast, he's excited. He jumps right into his offer and what he has to offer, what makes him different, what makes his product different, like what makes his process work, and he's just ready to impress. And the prospect, they go quiet and they start asking fewer questions. And by the end of the call, they say, it sounds great. I need to think about it. And he never hears from them again. Well, here's what he did not know. The prospect got on the call with problems that they needed solved, but he never asked what those problems were. He was too busy pitching his product. And so the prospect never felt heard. And when people don't feel heard, they don't buy. And so the lesson here is the very first thing that you need to do on any sales call is slow down and ask questions. Not just any questions, the right questions. Things like, what's the biggest challenge that you're dealing with right now? Or what have you already tried that hasn't worked? You want to understand their pain before you ever talk about your solution. The rule is simple. Listen first and then pitch second. When a person feels that you truly get their problem, that you truly understand, then they're already halfway sold. The next thing I want to talk about is this. The one thing that people actually buy, and it's not what you think. Well, people don't buy products or services. They buy the feeling that they think they're going to get after they have it. If you don't understand that, you're going to keep losing to people who have worse products and worse services than you, but they're better at selling. There's a woman who she sells a high-end home organization services, and she used to pitch her packages by explaining everything that she did. The bins, the labels, the closet system, the whole process, very detailed. It was detailed and very professional, but her close rate was terrible. And after she got some coaching, she was told to stop talking about what she does and start talking about how her clients feel after she's done doing what she does. And so she changed her sales pitch, and instead of saying, I organize your closets and create systems and for your home and all these things, she started saying, my clients tell me that after we're done, that they feel like they can breathe again. She said they wake up in the morning and their house is not stressing them out anymore. They feel in control. And when she did that, her close rate jumped through the roof. Now, she's offering the same service. She has the same price, but she's using a different language. And so the lesson here is, when you talk to a prospect, don't lead with features. Lead with the feeling on the other side, the feeling that they're going to get on the other side. You got to ask yourself, after someone buys from me, what does their life look like? What stresses go away? What gets easier for them? What do they finally get to feel? That right there is your pitch. Because you're not selling a product. You're selling a better version of their life. So that's what you want to speak to. Speak to that and watch how differently people respond. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is how to handle the dreaded objection of, I need to think about it. And we're going to talk about how to handle this without feeling or being pushy. Well, when someone says, let me think about it, most salespeople say, okay, that sounds good. And then they wonder why nobody calls them back. Well, here's the problem. When they say, I need to think about it, that's almost never about thinking. It's about something completely different. It's about something else entirely. I used to hate those dreaded words. Every time a prospect said, let me think about it, I would send a follow-up email, and then I'd wait a few days, and then the lead would just disappear. And I thought I was being respectful of their time. But what I was actually doing was leaving the sale unfinished. And it wasn't until I learned to try something different, and the next time someone said, I need to think about it, I paused and I said, I totally respect that. Can I ask you a question? What part of this do you still have questions about? And the prospect say, honestly, I'm not sure if this is the right time financially. And me asking that question changed everything. I was able to address the real concern, which was the money. And the prospect signed up on that same call. And the objection was never about thinking. They never needed to think about it. It was a fear of spending money at the wrong time. And so what I learned here is that the let me think about it objection is a soft no that's hiding a real concern. And your job is to not push harder, but your job is actually to get curious. And ask them, what part of this are you still unsure about? Or ask them, is there something holding you back that we haven't talked about yet? Is there something that we haven't discussed yet? And most of the time, people will tell you the real reason if you ask. And once you know the real reason, you can actually help them, and you can tackle the real objection. And you can do that without adding any pressure. You can do that by just having good communication. That's what we call good communication. All right, and the last thing I'll talk about is the close. And we're going to talk about how the close that doesn't have to feel like a close. The best closers in the world don't sound like they're closing. They sound like they're just having a normal conversation. And that's exactly why it works. Think about the last time you bought something and you were excited about it. Maybe it was a course. Maybe it was a piece of software or a coaching program. Chances are the person that sold it to you didn't feel like a salesperson. It didn't feel like they were pressuring you. They probably felt like someone who understood your problem and they had the answer. And see, that's no accident. And the best closers do something very specific near the end of a conversation. And what they do is they summarize. They summarize and they say something like this. So based on what you've told me, you're struggling with X and you've tried Y and it didn't work. And what you actually need is Z. Does that sound right? And the prospect says, yes. And then the closer says, well, then that is exactly why we've built this program, or that's exactly why we have this for you. Are you ready to get started? And see, you can do that with no pressure, no tricks, just clarity. And so the lesson here is, before you ask for the sale, do a quick summary of everything that you've learned about the prospect's problem, and then repeat it back to them in their own words. And when they hear you say it, they feel understood. And when they feel understood, the close becomes natural. It stops being a hard sell and it starts feeling like the obvious next step. And so that summary close is one of the most powerful tools that you can use, and it costs you nothing to use it. Look, selling does not have to feel slimy, and it does not have to feel awkward, and you don't have to lose another deal because you didn't know what to say or when to say it. The 4 things that we talked about today in this video: listening before pitching, selling the feeling, not the feature, uncovering the real objection, and using the summary close. These 4 things, these are not complicated, but they're very powerful. And if you start using even one of them in your very next call, you will see a difference.